If it is the correct company file, it should have 76 days remaining. Okay. If it is different, then you are using a wrong company file. You will have to change the computer. Right? It should have 76 days remaining if it is the correct company file. So open that company file. Right? On that company file. Now, if you can remember what we have learned, and that's why I told you this is a different kind of subject. You can't forget what you learned last week. You can start today, right? Like learning anything. You get to commerce because anything is very difficult. Learning anything is become a doctor. Because in the first year you will be learning about the heart. In the final year maybe you are learning about the brain. But once you become a doctor, you cannot forget heart. Right? But what our common students do is they do certain subjects in the first semester. Second semester you can't remember anything. And then the mind is very confused. You learn from the beginning. Fortunately or unfortunately, it is something you can't forget like that. Right? In the end of the semester, you should know how to create an account. You should know how to create companies. You can't forget it. Okay? You should know how to modify the tax codes. Know how to change the preferences and especially security preferences. Right? But we have learned up to now. Now, if you can remember the status of our company, file is currently according to our required format. Because we have modified the account list, right? And we have modified some security preferences, added users, and we learned all that. And we have modified the entire account list. So our account set for the skill set ledger is now fine-tuned. So it's according to our requirement. Now the first thing we have to do is we are going to start recording transactions. Right? Now in our accounts, if you go to the accounts command center, in the accounts list, right, you can see under different categories, all the accounts are there and the balances are zero. All the balances in front of the account, you can see all the balances are zero because this does not have any transaction. Now, we have to record transactions. Usually in the business, what is the, let's say you are starting on this business. What is the first journal entry you have to keep in any business when you're starting up a new business? What would be the first journal entry? Capital. Any other? Any other answer? Different answer? What is the first journal entry you have to do? Material purchase. Okay. Any other? Now we want to, as you correctly said, depending on the organization, sometimes due to the urgency, it may be there may be transactions that it's urgent to record in the first day. Even if you are recording on the first day, first of all, to start the business, you have to right? To start off with that, okay, to make sure this is a business, there should be some commitment by the shareholder. Right? Unless shareholders give some commitment, it is not a business owned by people. Therefore, usually the formation of starting journal entry, the shareholders' funds that are brought into the organization. If it is a combination of shareholders' funds and debt capital, then somehow how the business is funded. initially. The initial funding is the first double entry usually they are giving in a startup, right? So in this case, I want you all to take that document from the last week. Right, I told you we will be recording that as the first entry today. Right, start entering journal entries. Formation of journal entry on the first day of the year, right? 2023, April 1st, you are going to enter this entry. You can see there are debit entries and credit entries. Sampath Bank check account should be debited by 1.5 million. That means it's cash, right? 1.5 million of cash being debited to the Sampath Bank current account. And furniture for the office, 650,000. Covered for the storeroom. So for the storeroom, some equipment is coming. 450,000. And water filter for the office, 27,000. Classroom equipment for office, 150,000. All these are coming under the debit side, right? Because all these assets are coming into the business. Then who is bringing these assets? Can you remember we discussed about the loan given by some banks, right? And that loan was mortgaged against the private properties of the owners. So we agreed that this loan is taken by the owners. It's their personal problem. So they are somehow bringing capital into the business. Therefore, in this case, we have to worry only about the given transaction. All these assets and cash and everything is brought in by the owners, right? Then all this the entire amount should be credited to the share capital. All right. Now, my question is, this is not about computerized accounting. It's not about my GOP. It's your O-level commerce. Can you tell me, shareholder bringing in capital, not only cash, including many other things. What is the journal we are recording this? We have a number of journals, right? Number of journals. Yes. Different journals, cash food is also a journal. What is the journal? In your orals, you learn, no? The journals? Purchase, sale, return, sale, return, petty cash, cash book, general journal. What is it? Where do you record? General journal. What is the definition of general journal? Very easy, no? The easiest definition. What is the definition of general journal? The journal that we use to record the transactions that cannot be recorded in other journals. අනිකුත් ජර්නල් වල වාර්තා කරන හැටි ගන්න වාර්තා කරන්න භාවිතා කරන පොදු ජර්නල්. Right? So that is the easiest definition. So the problem here is you can't use cash book because it's really not only cash. We need some other assets. Right? You can't use any other journal because they are devoted to very specific purposes. Right? Very specific purposes are there for the journal. Right? Therefore, we are going to record this in the general journal. If you want to take any notes down, note them down because we are going to use the general journal. Under accounts command center, right? First, or entering journal entries, maybe entering journal entries, maybe you are talking, right? Because I'm not going to detail because it's not a different class. So, okay. You have to click down your own notes. We are going to record the first journal entry, and under the accounts command center, right? Record journal entry is the path for the general journal. Right? In MyOB, to record any general journal transactions, you have to go to the accounts command center and record journal entry. Right? When you click on that function, you will see a form like this. Okay. And first you have to enter the date. First you have to enter the date. The date is April 1st, 2023. When you are entering the date from the first transaction, please remember, when you are entering the date format should be according to the computer's operating system date format. In your computer, in the operating system, there is a particular date format, right? In my computer, you can see the date is 11/8/2025. The meaning is first you have the month, then you have the date, and then the year, right? When you entering the Mayobi taking the date format from the computer, right? Therefore, if in your computer is different, you have to enter in that one. Right? So here I am entering month first. Month is April, then the date, first, and then the year 2023. Okay. And then the memo. Right? What is the memo? Can you remember when you were manually preparing accounts under the general journal, after entering the double entries, after writing the names of the accounts, you were writing something within brackets. What do you call that? Within brackets, you are writing something. The narration, right? Narration. That thing is the memo here, right? So what is the purpose of it? The purpose is for anyone who is referring this transaction later to be able to identify what is the transaction, right? Therefore, this memo I'm typing formation entry, or you can write owner's equity. Owner's equity. Formation journal entry and owner's equity. You don't have to type the same, but whatever you type should have a meaning. Right? Later, if anyone is referring to this transaction, he only should be able to understand what that is. You don't have to exactly copy what I am reading. You have to write something that you feel that you read. That implies the transaction of you. If you are comfortable with owner's equity, if owner's equity is okay, fine. Right? Now you wrote the memo, and then you have to enter the accounts. Okay? You have to enter the account. Now, first entry, you are going to enter the Sampan Bank. Okay? Sampan Bank current account. Here, you can see it's given as account. What is the format? Account. You have account number. You have account name, whether it's debit or credit, right? And you can enter in job number, and also you can write a memo. For every line, you can write the memo, and then you have any tax code which is required. Okay. Now, in the account number, okay, in the account number, just try to search for Sampan Bank SAMP. No, when you try to enter Sampan Bank, that is how you can remember the account, right? From the name. When you search, it doesn't work because that field is looking for an account number, right? But the problem is it is very difficult to remember the account number for us. Okay. Then what we are going to do is, being in the same format, go to the setup, okay, go to the setup tab, and then go to the preferences. Okay, go to the preferences, and then go to the Windows preferences. Go to the Windows preference. Windows. Okay. Under the Windows tab, look at the fourth preference. Fourth preference. Select and display account name, not account number. Right? The meaning is when you are searching for accounts, you are not searching for numbers, you are searching for the account name. Right? So that preference I am selecting. Preference number 4. Right. Those who will read, I'm repeating. When you were searching for the account number, right? This is everyone. Yeah. When you are searching the account in any form, not only in the general journal, in any form when you are searching for accounts, it's very difficult for you to search by the number. Because you can't remember the number, account number. It's quite difficult. Therefore, you are searching by the name. If you know it's not, but that current account, you can remember. Right? If you share capital account, you can remember. Therefore, we have to change the search option from account number to account name. Therefore, we can change all this with the preferences. My preferences. Then I go to preferences. The path to preferences is setup and preferences. Right? Setup and preferences. Right? When you go to preferences, there are so many tabs, so many categories. Windows preferences. Select the Windows preference. Under Windows preferences, the fourth preference I'm referring to. That is about select and display account name, not account number. So I select it. When I select it, it will always display the account name, not the account number. Okay. So I can easily search by the account name. Then close. You can see there are a number of other preferences. Whenever we need them, we will quickly come and tick. Okay. At any time, you can come and tick all these preferences or deselect at any time. Now you can search Sampath Bank, SAM, Sampath, automatically it fills. Yes, right. You can press the tab key. Always use the tab key in your keyboard to jump from one cell to another. Okay. From one field to another, if you want to move, you always use the tab key. Then you can see account name is automatically filled. In the account number place, you have received the number. And then how much? 1.5 million, right? 1.5 million should be entered in the debit column. In the debit column, enter 1.5 million. Right? Enter 1.5 million in the debit column. Right? Then in the memo, you don't have to write anything special because it's very clear that to the bank you are anyway depositing money. Okay, there's nothing to enter into these fields. When you press tab continuously, it will come to the next row again. Right? When you keep on pressing the tab key, it will come to the next row. Right? Now you have to enter the furniture for the office. Right? Furniture for the office, for every name in the transaction, you will not have accounts. Okay? For every name in the transaction, you will not have accounts. Okay, any issues? Okay, very good. Then, second one is furniture for the office. So, for every transaction, for every term, you will not have accounts. You have to choose what is the suitable account for this particular item. So, furniture for office can go into one asset or property account, property plant equipment account. You can remember what were the categories. You can quickly go to the list and accounts. Right? I'll show you, just show you list, and then you can quickly go to the accounts. And under assets, you can see what are the available asset classes you have. Right? You have land improvements, buildings, office furniture and equipment, storeroom equipment, ground equipment. These are the asset categories you are having. Okay. Then I'm just showing it. Then you should know it should be coming under office furniture and equipment. That is the suitable account, right? It is furniture. Furniture for the office should go into the office. Furniture and equipment and cost account. Is that clear how I pick that account? Because you can't put it in the land improvement. You can't put it in the storeroom equipment. You can't put it in anything else. You can put it in the office furniture. Right? And the cost was 650,000. Right? But when there's a difference in the name of the account and the item, it's okay to write the small memo. Right? For later identification, it's okay to write a memo in front of a particular item. Right? Then what I'm doing is, I'm selecting this furniture for the office. I copy that. Right? I copied it. And then I'm adding it as the memo. It doesn't have anything to do with double entries. It is just for the identification purpose. Right? Just the recording purpose. Right. Then next item is cupboards for the storeroom. Okay. Cupboards for the storeroom. Now can you tell me what is the suitable asset category from plant equipment category? Storeroom. Office cupboard for the storeroom. That is the category called storeroom equipment at cost. Can you remember? Storeroom equipment. Then cupboard for the storeroom. I select storeroom equipment at cost. Okay. The price is 450,000. Then I enter this cupboard for the storeroom. Copy and paste here. Storeroom equipment at cost 450,000 words, and I entered a small memo to identify what it is. Then you have water filter for the office. Again, office equipment, right? I'm now quickly moving because you understood the process, right? Next is again coming up for the office. Therefore, it's office equipment, office furniture and equipment. Office furniture and equipment value is 27,000. And the item is water filter for the office. Right? The next item is classroom equipment for office. Again classroom equipment for office. Therefore, again office equipment. Office furniture equipment price is 150,000. And in the memo you can mention classroom equipment for the office. Right? So those are the assets. Those are the assets brought in by the shareholders. Okay. Then lastly, we have to enter the share capital. Okay, share capital. Share. Okay. When you enter SHA, automatically it will fill share capital account. Right? When you press tab, it goes to the debit side. And again, I want you to press tab key another one time to the credit side. Right? So it knows, system knows you are going to now enter the credit entry for these debit entries. Therefore, you can see it's totaled, automatically totaled up. You got that? Select the account, press tab key twice. Then it goes to the credit side. When you go to the credit side, the system knows you are going to enter the equivalent credit entry. Right? So total is automatically calculated. Then you can move on because no any memo is required for the share capital because you know it's anyway the shareholders capital. Now this is the double entry. Okay, this is the double entry. Debit side has so many entries, and on the credit side you have one entry. Both sides are tallying. How do you know whether both sides are tallying? At the bottom you can see total debit 2.777 million and total credit 2.777 million, right? Still you find it difficult to compare these two numbers. There is another function, out of balance zero. Out of balance zero means there is no any out of balance, both debit and credit totals are equal. Okay. If there is any a single rupee difference between these two, then the out of balance field will show that. And if there is any out of balance, you are not allowed to record the transaction. Not be permitted to record the transaction. That has to be right. If you are allowed, then there's no point of using system. If the error will come. The purpose of system is not to have errors. Therefore, you are not allowed to edit. And then there is an option called recap transaction. If you are writing notes down, better write down. There is a function called recap transaction. The meaning is you are going to check the double entry before that is recorded. Right? In this general journal, you can clearly see the debit side and credit side. Okay? Therefore, you can anyway see the double entry. But there can be future formats where you can't see the debit entry. You are just entering one number on top, another number somewhere else, then automatically the double entry is created. Right? So if you are willing to see the double entry before recording, that is recap transaction. Right? The shortcut for the recap transaction is Control R. Control plus R button in your keyboard. Control R. Recap transaction Control R. Okay. So that shows you the double entry. It shows you the double entry. So you know on the debit side, these numbers will be debited, and on the credit side, this number will be credited. You can have a clear idea of where your double entry is going. Right? Okay. Then you can click OK and click on the record button. Right? Click on the record button. Click on the record button. Right. Now you have entered your first ever transaction. Okay. You have entered your first ever transaction in my group. Now, when you enter into a journal, there should be a place to see those transactions. That's the place to view those transactions. Here, in the same command center, at the bottom, you can see transaction journal button, right? Transaction journal. I want you to select that transaction journal, and then you have to specify the date range from which date to which date transactions you want, right? So then the especially the date from that should be from April 1st, 2023, right? That is your starting date of your business. April 1st, 2023, and press tab. When you press tab, under the general, right? Under the general tab, you can see this transaction. Okay, because there are number of tabs: sales, disbursement related, receipts, sales, purchases, inventory, all related. Different tabs are there, and under general, right, all the general journal transactions will appear here. Okay, and then even under all, under all transactions also that will appear. Right? Make the corrections and make sure this is recorded properly. Okay. Okay. Hands up those who are having issues with this. Take a record and very hands up those who would not record this. But you can manage it. No. Now let me say, okay, now let me say you made any mistake in the transaction and the made mistake in this transaction. You have recorded the transaction, but you have mistake. For example, you are dealing with wrong. Maybe you are in your account you can related are wrong. If it is amount, you have a credit wrong. Those who make mistake in transaction, like wrong date, wrong count, wrong number, wrong figure, and okay. Now I am going to tell you if you made a mistake, how to correct it. In the real company, guys, are you listening? In the real company, when you make a mistake, you can't change the transaction. You have to enter the report other right? But in this, because we are learning, we have given one preference open and we get one preference open. The transactions can be edited, right? Not to be revised. Then what you can do is in the transaction journal, in front of this transaction, there's a white zoom arrow. Okay, there is a white zoom arrow. We call this white zoom arrow. When you click on that white zoom arrow, you are getting that transaction in an editable format. Right? Then you can make any changes you want. Let's say this formation journal, this memo I want to change. And let's say any numbers I want to change, any memo I want to change. Whatever it is, make any changes and click OK. That's it. Right? Especially check for the date. Right? Selecting the correct date is very important. In your financial statements, we should capture that date. Understood? Right. Now, look at this document. Second transaction is you are asked to transfer some money. Because now owner brought 1.5 million of money into the current account. From that current account, you are going to now transfer some money into your investment account. Yeah. Okay. Now, in your Sampath Bank current account, how much of money you have? 1.5. The one in the corner. How much do we have in our current account? Not in your current account, I am asking the company's current account. Sure. So we have 1.5. Now we are required to transfer that 1. Out of that 1.5, some amount of money to the investment account. Right? Then company decided to transfer 100,000 from the Sampath Bank check account to Sampath Bank investment account. Right? Now, we plot this again in the accounts command center. Now, if you are writing down notes, your topic should be transfer money. Transfer money from one account to another. That is the topic. And then tool is accounts command center, transfer money. Accounts command center, transfer money function. Okay. Transfer money function. And when you select that, you have another small form to fill. There you have to first set the date. Date is April 2nd, 2023. Accurately enter the date in the right format. Enter the date in the correct format. And then press tab key. Transfer money from account. Transfer money to account. You have to decide. Okay. If you are using mobile banking or online banking, it's very much similar, right? This type of transaction you are doing it from my account to another payee account. It's simple like that. Then transfer money to Sampath Bank investment account. Select the investment account. Right. Now another small learning here. Right. Carefully listen that. Make that a point. When you select the right, transfer to account, here you are getting a list of accounts. The nature of these accounts are assets. Yes. Nature of these accounts are assets. But you don't see all assets accounts here. Right? You don't see property plant equipment. You don't see office equipment. You see only the bank accounts. Right? Therefore, when you are classifying the account inside that, you have to make sure if it is a bank account, you have to mention it as a bank account. Then only it will appear in the banking transaction. Right? If you mistakenly select any wrong account as a bank account, that will also appear here. And also, if you, when you are changing any of these accounts, if you select petty cash as other assets, not the bank, then it will not appear here. Right? Therefore, you have to be careful when you are certifying bank accounts. Specifically, you have to certify this as bank. Right? Then select the Sampath Bank investment account. From Sampath Bank current account to Sampath Bank investment account. What is the amount? 100,000. Right? And again, you can write a memo. For me, this memo is enough. Transfer money. What I'm going to do is transfer money actually. And below this form, you can see the small information column that shows the current balance and balance after the transaction of both the accounts. Right? In Sampath Bank current account, currently you have 1.5 million. And after this transaction, it will become 1.4 million. Right? So as the accountant, you can add. If I transfer this, this is the balance I will have. It is sufficient for my other transaction. Right? That's something that you anyway manually calculate. Even when you are working with your personal banking account, you are manually calculating from your mind. So I transfer this much, will I have some money for other work and all that. So it's really showing it. And also for Sampath Bank investment account, currently you have 0, but after this transaction, you will have 100. So if you are okay with that, you can check the double entry. Right? How to check the double entry? Before recording it, recap the transaction. Right? Control R. Control R in the keyboard. Then you can see the double entry. If you can't see that investment account, right? If you could not see the investment account in that form, the reason may be you have not classified that as bank. Then go to the account list, select the account. You know how to edit the account, right? That you have to select the category as bank, not as other. Right? If you are okay with the double entry, you can click record button. Right? Click on the record button. Right. Now you can see the current balance of the two accounts and the you don't have to enter any amount. Right? Current balance has changed. Now the Sampath Bank current account has 1.4 million. Sampath Bank investment account has 100,000. All right. Okay. Now you can go to the transaction journal, and under general journal, you can see the same transaction, but under disbursements, right? Under disbursements, cash disbursements actually, you have another transaction called money transfer. Okay. Now, those who have made some mistakes here. The problem is in banking transaction. You are not allowed to change the transaction. Because in bank account involved, right? Then of course you have to enter a reversal estimate. Now, for example, if you instead of 100,000, if you have transferred 300,000, then you have to return another entity for another 200. Right? And if you have duplicated transaction, then what you can do is you can go to the transaction journal and find the second entry, open it, right click and delete the last. Second entry you can delete it. You can delete an entry, but you can't change it. And also, if you go back to have the other entry, you can again delete the original entry for the wrong amount and again from the you can insert it. But you are not allowed to edit the and okay. That is how it works. Are you okay with that? Okay. All right. Now that is the learning from the last week. Okay. That those are the basic transactions. Okay. Those are the transactions we are doing under the accounts command center. Under the accounts command center. Right? Right. One small thing to remember, right? Now, when in these computers, many vendors are working with my domain, right? So they will be leaving different company files. Maybe the company is also the certificate club, maybe everyone is referring to these HMOs, right? Then you have to be very specific on what company files you are using. You don't keep proving company files. Keep always use your own company file. For starting the work, check in the suite whether there are any company files. Don't delete the software, delete the company file. Right? In your computer. Delete all the unnecessary company files and start fresh. Right? Have a folder, download your correct company file, and make sure you're working in that company file. Otherwise, you are in trouble at the end of the class, you have worked on the wrong company file. Right? So, entire effort is basically that case. Right? That is something about, about discipline. Equal things are in place. Right? Don't think being disciplined is a waste of time. Right? Some people think we can online and I don't know whether the online participant or is one topics. But unfortunately, I have to say this, right? Because discipline is saving some of your time, right? Otherwise, you are in trouble. Now, for example, let me show you some list here. Okay. It's a discipline is not right. This is my everything. This is my everything. I'm not working on this computer. I'm working on the Google Drive. My everything is on Google Drive. The computer with the I'm not worried. I have everything on a cloud. Then, but I'm accessing from here, right? When I go into this, I have here academic years, right? These are not systemized. I have created this board. The academic years, you can see all these academic things, how many orders, 10, and that is I have got 10 years of this my university. All these academic years, 2013, 14, 2023, 24 this year. When I go into this academic year, I have semester one available to any new release I found, any internship is available. When I go into the semester two, I have the subjects and period, right? So from the phone call, over the phone, I can tell someone how to treat the content. Go to here this, here, you go to that subject, go to there, folder is here. Inside this subject, let's say information management. Under week one folder, I have Excel PPT, Excel PDF uploaded and exceptional. If someone thinks arranging all this takes time, right? Assume of someone who is looking everywhere to find a link. So I know what I'm going to do next. You understand? Discipline is always easy. Extra like easy. You understand? Some people think it's waste of time, but let's say someone doesn't have this order, right? For the next week, next time he can be finding here and there in emails, in some note, in the LXL, here and there, he may be spending more than half an hour to find the next question. Right? In your education also, for every year have a fault. For every semester have a fault. Okay? For every subject, every assignment, everything have a separate folder and do everything. Then you can erase it from the head and go. So I'm not keeping any of these in here. Because I know it's there. The right way. Let's look at the company file is also the same. To know every week, maintain the folder. That folder keep your company file. Work after completing the formation journal entry. Company file is there. So you know next week where to begin. Don't make it. Because when you are going forward, your company file will have lot of stuff, lot of transactions, right? Maybe one company file has supplier card, another company file doesn't have inventory item, right? So there are different stages. And if you open the wrong company file and keep on working, then it's not. Okay? Right. Now we are going to discuss the banking command center, right? Go to the banking command center, the second command center. In the banking command center, look at the functions you have, right? Look at the functions you have. You have spend money. If you want to spend some money on any expenditure, you can use that. And also you have bank register, you have reconciled account, right? Account reconciliation, and receive money. If you are directly receiving money to your bank, someone, if a customer is depositing directly money into the bank account, you can use receive money option. And also here you can see the transaction journal. It is the you have to remember that the same transaction journal is having links from different command centers. Here, this transaction journal is the same transaction journal you referred previously. Same transaction journal, but you are directly linking to the disbursement section, right? It is directly due to the disbursement section, which you are coming from the banking command center, right? If you come from the accounts command center, right? From the accounts command center, if you go to the transaction journal, you can see it is approaching the general, right? It's the same transaction journal, right? It's the same transaction journal, but it's just directing to the right tab. Okay. Now in the banking command center, we are going to enter transaction. Before entering transactions, in any command center, we are setting preferences. Right? We are setting preferences required for that particular command center, for that particular function. Right? Now we are going to enter the banking transaction. Therefore, let's go to the preferences. Go to setup, preferences, and go to the banking tab. Right? Go to the banking tab. Right? In the banking tab, there are very few preferences. The first preference is make a contact log entry for every check. For the check payments, I don't want to maintain a contact log, so I'm forgetting it. Second one is make a contact log entry for every deposit. So again, I'm not going to have a track record of the deposits, right? I'm just forgetting that because that is not within my scope, right? Not within our scope. That is for a real company that may be needed, but within our scope, we don't need it. Look at the third preference. Default check is already printed. I have to select that. Right? I have to select that preference. The reason is when I'm entering a transaction, bank related transaction, the system will ask me to print the check. So it's having that option. You can through the system you can print the check. So the system will ask me to print the check. I have to enter the information and then I have to connect the printer to the check or but you don't have that facility. Right? We don't do that here. Therefore, I'm not selecting that option. I don't want that option. Therefore, I believe check is already printed. check is always treated. I asked system not to worry about, right? Otherwise, it prompted me to do that. Check fourth preference, display payee rather than memo, right? Because it's easier for me to search from the payee when I'm searching for bank transaction, right? Because from the memo, it's very difficult to find the transaction, but payee I know. Now let's say I received some money from somebody, say Mr. Ekanayak. Say from Mr. Ekanayak, I have received money. So I know when I search from Ekanayak, all this will be there. But if I try to remember for what purpose I have received, then for the same purpose I may have 3,000 something. Right? Therefore, keeping the payee name is good. Therefore, I am keeping that preferred. And then want for duplicate check numbers. Is it good to select? Want for check numbers, duplicates. It's a good preference to select because there can't be two checks from the same number. Okay? And then when I receive money, I prefer to group it with undeposited funds. Now, let me ask you a very simple accounting question, right? O-level commerce question. A-level accounting. Not even A-level accounting. O-level accounting. When you receive money, right? When you receive check, for the customer, here you will check, right? The accountant, stop. You say, not the accountant, say you are a cashier, you receive the check. What is the other thing? 2023, let's all agree on that is credit data. Data balance will be credited. Data balance going down. I'm asking a very basic question, right? Cash account, bank account, any other? Some cash account. Alright. Which account? Which account? Which account the dividend goes? Which account? Account. We divide in discussion. Divide in discussion class. Okay, contribute to this discussion. We don't have different discussion. Then, okay. Now that is you are debiting that is the cash, right? Let's put that check in the cash flow. You are debiting into the cash. When that check is deposited the bank, again you are crediting it to the cash and until that check is deposited in the bank, you are getting it in the cash. If the cash, right? If the first bank right? So that is how we record it. Therefore, when we receive any check or any claim, until we deposit that in the bank, okay, we have to put that in the undeposited funds. Right? That is the preference here. Therefore, we are selecting. I am when I receive money, I prefer group it with undeposited funds. Okay, I prefer to deposit it with undeposited funds until that is being deposited to the bank. Right. Then that is those are the preferences of banking command center. Right? Okay. And then there is another small learning we want to quickly have. Now under we are going to learn the spend money function, right? In the banking command center, we are going to learn the spend money function. Spend money function. Okay. When we are going to record spend money function, record any transactions under the spend money function, that means we are going to spend money on certain transactions. Those transactions will be recorded here, right? We have to be very clear that what type of transactions are we recording under the spend money function? What type of transactions are we recording under the spend money function? There is a small document as I had uploaded it in the LMS, right? Which transactions are recorded under spend money function? Okay. Now there are some not recording transactions and only one type of a recording transaction. Right. Now look at the first bullet point here. Right. All item purchases. Right. These type of transactions we are not recording under the spend money. Okay. I received them. Focusing on this. Right. I'm telling this because in your exam paper, right? No one will come and tell you when you are given a transaction, Sudha, go and record this transaction using the spend money function. When you see the transaction, you should figure out this to be recorded under the spend money. Right? So if you do not understand this, right, you will be recording some of these do nots in the do category. You will go and record this transaction in the spend money. Because spend money function will support that. It will allow you to record it. But the problem is ultimate impact is wrong. Right? Using a system doesn't mean you can just do anything. Because to operate a system, you should have some knowledge. Right? You understand? Therefore, first thing you are not recording under this is all item purchases, inventory items, must be recorded in the purchase command center using enter purchase function. If you are purchasing for cash, let's say, by paying cash, if you are purchasing some inventory items that you are selling, right? For that, the payment should not be recorded using the spend money function because that will not update your inventory items. So we learn it later. It will be very clear when you learn the items in choice, right? If you are buying anything for resale purpose, you are keeping them in the inventory. Payments for those type of items you are not recording in the spend money. Right? Number two, all purchases to be recorded on a supplier card must be recorded in the purchase command center using purchase function. If any purchase, right? Here we are talking about payment. If we are paying to a registered supplier, if there is a supplier, registered supplier with us, to whom we are making a payment, that type of payments we are not recording under the spend money function. Because that does not update the supplier. Supplier's balance will not be updated. Because this is a very isolated function. You have bank, this is connected only to the bank. You are just spending money. Bank credited value. So if you use for any of these functions the bank spend money function, then the other entry will not be properly recorded. That's why. And another thing, all payments of supplier bills recorded on the supplier card must be recorded with the pay bills function. Not the supplier pay. If you are directly paying the bill to the supplier, right? If you are directly paying any bill to an existing supplier, again, you are not recording it in the spend money function. The next problem is, if you are not recording any of them, what are you recording under spend money function? That is the problem. What are we recording? It's like the general journal. Right? You are recording something that are not recorded in any of them. Right? You are recording only this type of transactions. Payments that do not relate to an item. Payments that do not relate to an item, item purchase, settlement of outstanding bill on a supplier card, any of these, without any of these, any payment will be recorded under the spend. Right? That is how we are going to record the transaction. take a photo and post in your groups. I was giving an opportunity for them. Okay, now, now ready? Okay, I do understand. Nothing to do. Oh, I understand. Because usually I'm also someone who was sleeping when I was a student. But you have to make sure your brain is awake. You have to be okay with the content. Unless that is, it's okay. Because I can't punish for which I am also not complying. I was also sleeping when I was a student. When things are getting boring, fall asleep. All right. Now, are you okay with that theoretical understanding of it? Huh? Are you okay with the theoretical background? Right. So we will take a very small break because we have a lot of transactions to record. Okay. We'll take a 15-minute break. We'll take a 15-minute break and then please come back. We will start recording the transactions under the spend money. Before leaving, record the attendance and goal. Okay, mark your attendance and goal. What is your exam number? 058. Partner.
Highway. Yeah, correct. Ah. Branch extension. Even extension. There is 8 no? 8.
Can you show your
We already
camera plug?
Hi.
Camera.
Why can't?
03.
Fine. Take it back. Thank you. I think it's probably the phone. Can you check from the computer? Okay. Can't be because the in the system it's working.
Sir,
Yes.
I could mark attendance due to a connection problem.
Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay, you can mark.
We will start again. Okay, so we had a basic understanding of what type of transaction we are going to record under the banking command center. and the spend money function, right? We had a theoretically, we had an understanding what type of transactions we are recording. And in the LMS, I have uploaded a list of transactions. Right? A list of transactions that we are going to record under that banking command center of spend money. Okay. So here you can see purchase check settlements. Okay. Some of the payments or purchases the company has made check settlements. Then we are going to see whether these transactions are suitable to be recorded under that spend money function. Okay. Look at the first transaction on 6th of April 2023. Payment for the construction work and building premises done by the Orion Construction Company Limited, 55,000. And that is to be capitalized to the land improvements account. Right? Now, if you look at this transaction and if you compare this with the given accepting criteria, right? This is nothing related to your inventory item. The construction phase, right? Construction is none of your business, not your business. This is not for retail purpose or anything, right? And also, this supplier is not your usual supplier, not a registered supplier. You are taking this service only for this particular purpose, right? And also, you are not settling any previous outstanding bills from the supplier, right? This is a fresh work that you are undertaking, and now you are going to make the payment. Thereafter, every day you will not be doing construction like this, right? One-off payment, that's done. So that type of transactions you have to record in the spend money function, right? Now having that understanding, where to capitalize this expenditure, because this is not an expenditure, actually you have to capitalize this to the land improvements account, right? So it's adding value to your land. Then right. Now we will go to the banking command center and spend money function. Okay. Here you have a few things to select. First, you have to select from which account, right? From which account? From Sampan Bank current account. I have selected it. Anyway, that is the only current account you have at the moment. Therefore, it should be, any payment should be anyway paid by this account, right? And then you have to select a card if there is any registered supplier involved in this particular payment, right? So at the moment we will keep the card as empty, but we will have to accurately select the date. Okay, set the date 6th of April 6th 2023, right? What is the amount? 55,000, right? 55,000. Then without mentioning any card, let me type a memo. Okay, memo is payment for construction work, right? Payment for construction work. So this memo is written to identify for which purpose this payment was done in the later date. Then you have to enter to which account, to which or on which purpose you are making this payment, right? So here they have mentioned it looks like an expenditure, but they specifically say you have to capitalize this to the land improvements account because it's adding to the asset value, right? So in the account name here, you have to mention the land improvements account, land improvements at cost, right? Land improvements at cost. Okay. When you select that account and press tab key, you can see the amount will be automatically added to that field, right? Amount should be automatically added to that field if you have entered it in the top one. Because you have entered 55,000 at the top, then for this schedule also 55,000 is automatically added. Now this autofill is a facility given with the software. It doesn't mean you have to always go with that number. If there is any change you want to go, you can make a change. But here it's safe if you can use the same autofill option. Now if you make any difference or any change here, you will not get the autofill option another time. It's given only one time. If you autofill one time, let me show you, right? Now I delete this to 55,000 and move forward, right? And then even if I select this, let's say, again I'm selecting this from this drop down, I'm selecting land what that cost, and I press that. Here it gave me again, but in some cases it will not give me a second time. It will not autofill again. Some cases, but here it has given because only one item is there, right? Therefore, now we have selected it. No need to include any memo because it's no need to include any memo because it's only transaction we have. It's only account we have, right? Actually, because this is only account we have, you have to write the additional memo for this. So we will record this transaction. Before recording this transaction, what can we do to get the double entry? What are we doing before recording? We can recap the transaction. Right. Control R. You can recap the transaction. What is going to happen to the double entry? See in this form, if you carefully look at this form, in one section, you filled all the information needed for the dedication, right? On another section, you entered all the information relevant to the dedication. But even someone without any knowledge of this debit, any double entry knowledge, he or she will also enter this information because it's given, it's required. They will fill the form. But as an accountant, you should know if it's a double entry before recording, right? But any non-accounting employee will not know what is double entry and all. Then enter the numbers and save. Okay. So if you are okay with the double entry, you can record this transaction. Okay, you have recorded that transaction. Now that is only one the way of recording, right? Thereafter what? Thereafter it's same function, right? It's same function. You can thereafter it's the same you have to do for all the other transactions, right? Then look at the second transaction. Power connection charges to Kalani Power Limited, 18,000. Expenses amount including VAT. So this is not the electricity, right? Power connection charges. So you are paying this for taking the connection, obtaining that connection. This is not a recurring payment, right? This is a one-off payment. Therefore, you don't have to bother about the supplier or anything. You have to just record the transaction. Therefore, this will be recorded under the spend money fund. No worries. So can you all record it independently? That's my guidance. Because you know the rules. Maintenance. And we experience the I don't go Right, done. Did you record it? So it's very simple. So it's the same bank account, and then date is 8th, and amount is 18,000. Right. The memo is power connection charges. Expense to you have to expense this, right? And where to expense? Under the expenses, you have to find a suitable account. We will expense it to electricity account, right? Right. According to my selection, I'm selecting electricity account. But if you feel there is a different account needed, like power connection charge or something, because it is not the usual expense account, you can even create a new account and do it, right? But how did you select electricity account? General office expense. It is actually not a general office expense, no? It's not a general office expense. It's a one-off expense. So shall we all create a new account if you are not comfortable with the electricity account? Huh? You are comfortable with electricity, no? Shall we change to the electricity account? Right? Because some argue against that about debiting into the electricity account. So we will select this electricity account, right? Because that is also expense. That's why it is not capitalized. That's the problem. It's anyway expense, no? So it should be an expense anyway. Select the electricity account, okay? And 18,000 or any other. And also you have to include the VAT, right? You can see automatically VAT is applied because when we were creating the electricity account, value-added tax is selected, right, as the tax code. Therefore, VAT is anyway added. Now you recap the transaction. Do you see the payment is adjusted for the tax component, that inclusive component, right? You don't have to manually calculate VAT or anything, it's automatically adjusted. Then you can click on the record button. Third payment, establish a petty cash float of 5,000 rupees, right? Now, this establishment of petty cash float, you can use the bank spend money function. And also there is another function that you can use if you want. What is that function? For the third transaction here, establishing a petty cash float of 5,000. Yeah, transfer money. Even the transfer money function can do this, or you can use that function to record this transaction, right? But even with this function, you can do it because the double entry will be the same, and there's no any damage to the entries are. Okay, therefore we will use this function for that. From Sampath bank account, we are creating transferring. Date is 10, 5,000. In the memo, we can write petty cash. Petty cash float, and the account should be petty cash. Then we can recap. It's very clear. Sampath bank current account will be credited and petty cash account will be debited. Okay. Then click on the record button. Right. After recording these three transactions, I want you all to cancel that form. Go to the transaction journal to see how these transactions are appearing in the disbursements category. Right? Under the disbursements category, these three transactions are appearing. Okay. All right. All right. Now we will move on to, if you are okay with this, we will move on to the next second set of transactions. Same, it's the same procedure, right? It's the same procedure. Instead of the bank current account, now we are going to make these payments using the credit card. Okay, that's a credit card called MasterCard. We are going to make these payments using the credit card or the MasterCard we have. Now go to the same function, banking command center, spend money. Instead of the Sampath bank current account here for the pay from account, now I am selecting the MasterCard. You can see MasterCard is not an asset, MasterCard is a liability. So when you are purchasing, the liability goes up, right? Liability goes up. Then purchase plates, cutlery, cleaning products for office and lunchroom. Expense to the general office expense, that inclusive. The amount is 12,000. Right. Now set the date. 11th of April. Amount is 12,000. Right. Memo is plate, cutlery, cleaning products. That is how I have written the memo. And here you have to use debit these expenses to the general office expenses, right? General office expenses count 12,000. VAT inclusive. VAT inclusive, it's anyway selected. Automatically VAT is inclusive because for the general office expenses, we have selected you can't find the MasterCard. You go to the account list. Go to the account list and see whether the account is there. If you can't see the MasterCard, right? If you could, in case if you couldn't find the MasterCard in the list, that means in the liability account system, your MasterCard account type is not selected as credit card, right? So you have to go and change that account type. The account is fully visible. Right, so you can recap the transaction and then see MasterCard will be credited and the general office expense will be debited inclusive of VAT amount, right? Then you can record it. Shall we quickly record all the transactions? Because it's the same procedure, right? So next transaction, you have to capitalize to the office furniture and equipment, right? Now, did anyone have a problem of not selecting this pay details? Because in this transaction, the pay details are also given. From this company we have taken, from that company we have taken. But here in the form, we were not entering the pay details. Can someone tell me the logic? Why we missed it purposely or is it a mistake? Yes, if we are buying something on credit only, we are mentioning the name of the supplier, usually in account, right? Especially in the purchases, if something is a cash purchase, right? We are just debiting the purchase account, purchase ledger account, and then crediting it to the cash. We are not mentioning anyone's name because the name is not important when we make the payment in cash, right? Because we have already spent that. The name of the person is important if we are purchasing on credit, right? If the credit entry goes to a person, someone's account, all that we were made, right? That is why we were not selecting, not a mistake. Then, right, so photocopier, it's capitalized to this account. You can recap the transaction and see the double entry. Right. You can record this transaction. And then electricity bill for the month of April on 28th. 4,260. Right. VAT inclusive paid electricity bill on 28th of April. recap that and see, okay, it will be debited to the electricity expense account. Right? All right, there's nothing special in that transaction. It's the selection of the correct account, electricity account, electricity expense account. Okay. Okay. Have we recorded all the three transactions from the Mastercard? Right. If we have recorded all the transactions from the Mastercard, now we will record the other transactions from the petty cash. Right. Next three transactions are from the petty cash account. Pay from account, you have to select the petty cash, right? And set the date. 20th of April is the first transaction. 20th of April, postage 280 rupees. There is an expense account called postage, right? Amount is 280. Now, can someone tell me, because there are very small three transactions in this form. Listen, in this form, you have the option to enter any number of accounts or any number of expenses to this side, and you can enter the total on the top, right? From the account payment as a total, you can include that, and any number of transactions you can include in this form. Can we record these three transactions in that way, or we cannot? Cannot. What is the reason? Dates are different, right? Fortunately, if the date was the same, you would have done that, right? The best way is to accumulate the transactions, but inside the bill, you have separate for different account. But if the date is different, you can't record it. Okay. Right. Then you can record this And again, on 26th, you have another 2,000 for cleaning. There is an expense account for cleaning, and then you can record it. And on 29th, on 29th of April, have clearing account. Let me see. Here there is an account called cleaning. Is cleaning, no? Am I getting old? Clearing. But here it's clean. It has to be clean. In the account list. The account list it was clearing. Okay, then shall we make it cleaning? Huh? Clearing for clearing, we don't need an account. Shall we change the name of the account as cleaning? It should be cleaning, okay. Okay, the account list clearing. We'll change the name of the account as cleaning. Okay. For clearing, if we need another account, later we will create it. Not a big problem. Okay. Not next. In yes. In cleaning, right? In for cleaning, that is given as applicable, right? In the account. But in the transaction stage, you don't have to include the rest, right? It's not taxed. Therefore, NT, you have to change it as NT, right? Make that correction and save. Not taxable. And then rates. Okay. On 29th, we are paying 1,800 worth of rates. Okay, rate. Do you have an account for rates? No. When there is no account, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Are we not recording that transaction? We have to create a new account. Right? We have to create a new account. Here itself, we can create a new account. Keep this form here itself and go to the list. Right? Go to the list, go to the accounts. And we know the rates is an expense account and coming under office expense. So I go to the expense category, expense tab, and under general expenses like rent, we are having the rates. Okay. Do you have a rates account? No, right? No any rates account. Right. So 3,650 is the last number we have given. Okay. If we want any account just under this, we will give another close number like 3660. 3660. We'll create a new account. 3660. The name is rate. What is rate? What is rate? For what do we? What is it? Given. If you have the gate, up given. That is called rates. Okay, so you have an account called 3660 rates. Okay, so we have created an account called rates and then close that account list. Now from here we can now search for rate. Yeah, from the account itself we can select it. If not from the form we can select it. So shall we create the account itself? Right. Okay, there are two options, right? There are two options to include the VAT. One is at the account creation, we can mention that account is always subject to VAT, right? So in the account, under the rates, here we can select the value added tax. Okay. In the rates account, right? Inside that account, under the details, we can mention always when you are paying rates, it is VAT inclusive, right? That is what we are selecting here. And if not, if we did not select that, in the form we can select VAT inclusive. But here it's better to do this, no? Select it. Okay. Right. And when you select rates, it will be automatically subject to VAT. Right? 1,800 rupees. Okay. Value added tax included. Recap the transaction, and if the double entry is correct, you can record the transaction. Okay, if you're okay with that, you can record that transaction. Right? Now from the petty cash, you have spent the required expenses. Right here, from the petty cash, you have made some purchases. Those are also recorded. Okay. Are we fine with that transaction? You are just spending money on expenditure that has no relation to any supplier, that has no relation to any of our inventory items. Right? Other expenses we have made. Okay. Now there is a very special type of a transaction, special type of a payment, which is known as a periodical payment. Right? Because in organization, in businesses, there are some payments. They are occurring again and again in the same time interval, right? And the same amount. Okay? If there is any payment that is occurring in the same time interval. For example, in this month, today is 8. If we are making a payment on 8th of November, On December 8th, we are making another payment similar to this. Today paid you have paid 10,000. On December 8th, you are paying another 10,000. On January 2026, again you are paying another 10,000. If the amount is the same and the time period, time interval is calculatable, for those kind of transactions, we can program that transaction. We can record that for the entire period, right? For the entire lifespan of the transaction, we can schedule that. That type of transactions are known as recurring transactions. For your knowledge and for your note. Why am I highlighting these words? Because these are can be tested as a quiz. Recurring transaction. If this definition is given and if you are asked to mention, underline what is the correct type of the transaction. Recurring transaction. That recap transaction is also not that kind of a word, a technical word that can be tested. Recurring transaction. Transactions that can be occurring again and again that we can program here, we can store it here, right? Like your scheduling payments in any banking apps, right? Like that we can do that. Now here, on 30th of April, the company has signed a rental agreement with Ashok company to use motor vehicle. The rental agreement requires monthly payment of 20,000 needs to be paid from the business check account, Sampan Bank, starting from the first day of the rental agreement. So that the rent is paid monthly in advance. Right. So on this month we are paying, right? So every month in advance before the next month, that means we are making 20,000 payment, right? Every 30th you are paying for the next month, right? In next month, 31st, you are paying for the subsequent, right? So likewise, you are continuing this payment and no any ending date mentioned. And no any ending date mentioned. That means until you stop that payment, until you break that agreement, you are continuously paying. Okay. So now we will go to the same spend money, right? Same spend money function. And we know this payment is made by the Sampath Bank current account. This is paid through the Sampath Bank current account. And then the date of the first payment is 30th April. 30th April. The amount is 20,000. Right? And the memo is, we will write a memo. Rental agreement with Ashok Corporation Private Limited. Rental payment. So I'm writing it as rental payment to Ashok Corporation Limited, Private Limited. That is my memo, right? For my reference. Then let me choose the suitable account for this expense account. Right. For any vehicle related or transportation related expense account, I could not find. Right. So we will create one. Do you find any vehicle or transportation related account? No, right? Just no. So we will create a new account. We will be in the same format. Go into the list accounts. Quickly go to the expenditure. And general expense, we will include vehicle rent, right? A new account. We'll give the number 3670. 3670 is the account number. Vehicle rent. Okay. Vehicle rent is the name of the account. Account number is 3670. 6 dash, 6 dash, that means expense. Under the expense category, 3670 is the number. Vehicle rent. Is it inclusive of VAT or something? No, right? Nothing mentioned there. So we don't have to mention VAT for the account. Right? Create that account. And then vehicle rent account will appear here. Okay, vehicle rent account will appear in your form. Right. So enter the amount. Right. Now your transaction is ready to be recorded. Don't record it. Now your transaction is ready to be recorded. Right. So before recording the transaction, we know the same transaction will be repeated every month. Right? Therefore, we have to enter all this information again and again every month. Same amount, same supplier, same memo and everything. Right? Then what we can do is we can save this transaction as a recurring transaction. So next time it's just a matter of clicking a button. Right? So here at the bottom there is a button called Save as Recurring. Right? Click on that button. Save as recurring. So you can see transaction name is automatically picked from the memo. Right? The name is rent payment to Ashok Limited. What is the frequency? How often you are making this payment? Look at the options available. Monthly, weekly, daily, semi-annually, bi-annually, all these options are there. So this is actually a monthly payment. Right? And monthly payment starting from, right? Starting on, you have to mention the next starting date. Right? Not the 30th of April, because the 30th of April transaction we are now entering. Right? Then it has to be 31st of May. Am I correct? 31st of May. 5/31st, 2023 is my starting date. Right? And then how long it should be continued? That is the next option we have to give. Is it continue indefinitely? Right? Without mentioning a date, should it be continued? Or continue until this date? If you select continue until this date, you have to provide the ending date here. Right? And if you are entering how many times it should be performed, like 10 times, 12 is total. Like that, if you have a number of payments, then you can mention that. But in this case, you are not given any information about it. Therefore, we have to pick continue indefinitely. Right? When it's the time to stop, you will stop it from it. Right? And then alert, remind the administrator to record this transaction. Right? When on its due date, any number of days in advance, it's about the reminder. Right? It's about the reminder. So we will select that on its due date. Remind the administrator on its due date, because the second option is a bit dangerous. Automatically record this transaction when it's due. Right? So it's like Tesla vehicles ordering tires for you. Automatically. Right? Too many automations, because automation is good, but you have to have a control over financial transactions like this, right? I hope you know that. Tesla vehicles have these options, automated decision making, all that stuff in the car. So when your tires are upset, the car will order the tires. Then you will be surprised to see the bill suddenly. Right? If you activate those options, that is the technology now we have. Here it's also the same way. Let's say you don't have money in your pocket, in your bag. If they automatically record the transaction, it's risky. So we want to remind. Let us click that button. Okay. Let us click that button. but give us a reminder. That's why I am giving on due date, please remind me, I will record the transaction. Okay. And then transaction, what is the number you have to give? Use the next sequential number as the check number, right? We are giving the next number, or else we can create our own numbers. Save my changes when I record recurring transaction. Tick that. Save my changes when I record the recurring transaction. Okay. After selecting those information, click on save button, right? So the template is saved. Right? You can't see anything, but the template is saved as a recurring transaction. Then you can record this transaction. For this month, this transaction you are recording. Recap this transaction and see, okay, there is no any problem with the transaction. Then you are recording it. Right? Now the transaction you wanted is recorded for this month. And also you have saved the template to be recorded in every month. Right? We have to see that template now. Cancel this form. Right? And here, under the option tools, right? Maybe body other again option tools, right? These are option tools. Remember those words. I am training you for the quiz. Right? These are option tools. This option tool, under the to-do list option tool, you can find recurring transactions. Here, you can find recurring transactions because this is the to-do work for the accountant. What should be done? Right? Click on that recurring transaction and see that transaction is punched here. So in a real company, real business, there will be hundreds of recurring transactions like this. Right? That is why this option is given. You may forget some payments. Right? So the recurring transaction is given here. If you want to make any adjustment, you can use the white zoom arrow. Maybe the amount may change suddenly. Right? If any changes happen, you can open that, make the change and record. I'm not recording it. So this is the next immediate transaction. You can see the due date is 31st May. Right? 31st May is the next due date. Right? Now just leave you an insight because I just finished the right. If you made any mistake, that is good point. If you made any mistake in recording that recurring transaction, okay, from the to-do list you can't divide, right? The template in the to-do list, the recurring transaction is showing only the next immediate transaction. You can do any changes in the next immediate transaction. But for the original template stage, if you want to make any change or amendment, you have to go to this list and recurring transaction. List tab, recurring transactions. From there, you can make the changes. Here you can see end schedule, use recurring, create copy, delete. All these options are there. Okay. Any major changes if you want to do that template, you have one thing I wanted to say, recurring transactions, usually in your exam paper, they are in the recurring tab. How to record a recurring transaction. Recently, I did the benchmarking of your previous work. Okay. I do this up, when I open the company file, every company file is open and go through every year and there it takes a lot of time for marketing. When I open, there is a 5 months. When I open the company file, I know this 5 months is allotted or not. Because recurring alert should be coming. When it is the recurring transaction, when the item has gone, it is giving you an alert, alarm. Right? If a student has recorded the recurring transaction accurately, when I open the company file, the pop-up is coming in front of you. There is a transaction is recorded. Then you can start. You understand? Therefore, don't make mistakes in those kind of easy marks. Right? So that's why I told you. Correctly record, learn to do that. Accurately how to record recurring transaction. Right. So that is about the learning for today. Make sure you now your company file is becoming richer and richer. It contains lot of transaction, contains lot of data, right? Therefore, make sure you are always working in the correct company file and safely take it to your emails or whatever for safety. Right? You have to click the right company file. No, you don't have to. Today you don't have submission process. Okay, every day you don't have. Suddenly I will do. Okay, then thank you very much for joining. See you next week.